So I'm sold. How do I buy it?
So you're sold. How do you buy it? So that has been the question du jour for a few weeks now. Actually, it's been the question du jour for months, and we always said we were going to tell you how we were going to announce pricing and licensing, and we announced pricing and licensing, and we didn't do a very good job of rolling it out. I mean, the point is, I think the pricing and licensing model is right with some tweaks, and we'll talk a little bit later about a lot of the stuff that we've heard, but really, I feel bad that we didn't do a good job of rolling it out in the first place. It was much about messaging and availability of data and how people could find the information they needed as it was about the pricing.
So you've obviously seen all the weblogs and the forum comments and the...
Yeah, I spent, I was in Europe when we rolled this out, and I was awake, for 22 hours a day because I would be, I was literally in 5 cities in 5 days the last week, which was pretty crazy. And so I'd be traveling, and then when I'd get to the next city, of course, it would be early to midday here, and all hell was breaking loose with people questioning the pricing and lots of blogging, and so I needed to be involved in that. And then eventually I'd go to sleep at 5, wake up a couple hours later, and repeat as necessary. But so yeah, I think that first of all, a lot of people ask me like, well, how do you feel about all this? Like, what do you think about this noise? And, some days it can be frustrating, but I'll tell you, the thing that really makes it very worthwhile is that people are talking about this because they are absolutely passionate about the product. Like, so, as the product guy, I look at this and go, we did a fantastic job. We created a product that everybody, we drove that market down even further than we thought we would. That bottom part of the dash line, we drove it down far, far into the developer space. So far that there are people who just have no concept that this shouldn't just be free, right? And so you've got a set of expectations you've got to deal with there. But everybody, nearly everybody, there were some people that said, this is nothing and you should just go open source, whatever. But, for the most part, everybody was passionate about the product. And they were deeply concerned that they weren't going to be able to get to use this product. And they heard us say, this product is for the big customers. And all of you, little guys are out of luck. And that was absolutely not the message we intended to send. But I can totally see how people got it. So, Prashant and I spent a ton of time, on my blog and other public blogs and other forums, mostly listening. I'm still reading these things every day. I was just out on Eric Bowen's last night, for a couple hours reading all the posts and trying to figure out, okay, what does that mean? What should we be doing? What more can we do? What decisions can we change? What messaging do we have to change? That type of stuff. So, anyway, so let's talk about how you buy it. The net of it is, I try and I say, simple guy, I try and simplify things. This isn't the official pricing and licensing guide, but I'll see what I can do here. I think you have 4 decisions and that's it, right? I think it starts off with, if I am happy with the value, if I'm a single developer, a small developer, and I'm happy with what I get today with MSDN Universal, I get all the servers, I get SourceSafe, I get the compilers and the editors. If I'm content and happy with that, and I don't need process, and I don't need all of these other things, then the first decision is very simple, which is I'm going to stay where I am. And in fact, Microsoft just dropped $300 off the price. So from that person chooses to go to Visual Studio Professional with the MSDN Premium solution, premium subscription service. That thing is $300 cheaper than MSDNU, and it's an exact set effectively of MSDNU. And where it isn't, where a couple people pointed out to us it wasn't, we fixed it. So that was good feedback from the community. VSS wasn't there. VSS is in there now. Visio wasn't there. Visio will be in there now. So we're making that Visual Studio Pro with MSDN. It's a terribly long name. Visual Studio Pro.
Welcome to Microsoft.
Yeah, we're going to have to make the boxes bigger, right, to get the text on there, or smaller fonts. But Visual Studio Pro with MSDN Premium subscription. That thing is the equivalent, exactly, or we will make it so, of MSDN Universal, and it's $300 cheaper. So that's the first step. The next decision is, hey, I actually want some of this new functionality, and in any, it's like I want a deal. I'm a person who likes a bargain, right? So if I have MSDNU today, I can get a free upgrade to any of the point products, and each one of those is MSDNU plus between $3,000 and $10,000 worth of value. You know, if you're talking about the developer SKU, you're talking about profilers, code coverage tools. Unit testing is mostly free anyway, but code coverage tools and profiler tools, you pay a lot of money for those today, right? So there's incremental value there. You get it for free. The load testing tools, you know, you can pay upwards of $200,000 for solutions there. You're going to get that for free. The architecture tools, you know, some of the tools from other companies sell for $5,000, $6,000, $7,000. You're going to get that value for free, right? So the second decision is, hey, I can stay at the same price point and get $3,000 to $5,000 to $10,000 worth of value free to me without paying another penny. Okay, so that's that decision, and that decision looks like staying with MSDN, picking the role SKU you want, and calling it good. The third decision is, and this is one where I think we really didn't communicate exceptionally well, and that was, I cross roles, right? I do a bunch of everything, and I want it all, right? Or I need it all, right? And in many ways, we built the product for that person. Like we designed the product for this integration across those roles, right? We designed the product assuming that there were very different roles, but we always talk about butts and seats, right? It can be, we assume that in many cases it was the same butt doing these very distinct roles. And so we designed it so that going from tester to architect to developer actually felt consistent, which was another, you know, big selling point. So for anybody who doesn't think we get that the bulk of consultants and small businesses actually do, you know, multiple roles, we do get it. Please look at the product. You'll see it's designed for that scenario. We didn't do a great job of articulating that in the licensing document, where the licensing document basically came across as, well, look, we'll give you all these free things, but if you want the integration, you know, and then we had the $10,000 price point, you know, as this. And that's retail. It will be exceptionally hard for anyone to ever pay that price. Like, you would have to work really hard to pay the $10,000 for this box. So what have we been doing? So we've been taking that feedback. We're doing a couple things. One is we're looking at how do we announce some new sort of pricing around the retail market, which was really where the issue was. I think it's the 1, 2, 3 people. If you're buying 5 or more, you're not really buying retail from Microsoft. Or if you are, you shouldn't be. We are working with the partner. There were some other programs where a lot of these small ISVs were getting their tooling, whether it be the partner programs, ISV programs. And there was a lot of confusion about, hey, I'm in these programs, what do I get? And so we're working with them to sort through that to make sure that those are our best partners are getting the team system, they're getting the suite. So we need to work through a lot of those issues where we weren't able to articulate those. And over the next 2 to 3 weeks, we'll be rolling out more information. One of the big things that we're doing around messaging and just more information is releasing a new site. I think it's in 2 weeks that'll be focused on, hey, I want the team system. How do I buy it? Like, what's the cost? And with all sorts of information about how you make these decisions. So anyway, that was the third decision. That third decision was, I'm in multiple roles, so I want the suite. How do I buy the suite? What are you going to make me pay for the suite? One thing I try and be very, very honest and upfront with is, it isn't free, right? This is $10,000, $20,000, $50,000 worth of value when you're looking at competitive pricing. Now, that doesn't mean a lot to the people lower end in the pyramid, because they're like, hell, I never would have bought that anyway. Right? But it is the market that we're in. And so when somebody asks me, do you care about the little guy? I'm like, I'm going to drive prices down in this market. I care about the little guy. Right? Now, do I drive them down as far, as fast as people would hope? Clearly not. You know, but do I feel like we care about the little guy and we're changing the dynamics of that market? Absolutely. I think a lot of the analysts would tell you, this market 2 years from now won't look the same. The pricing won't look the same. Other vendors will have to respond with pricing equivalents to what we're doing, and that's great. That's great for the customer in the end. So, you know, I care deeply about those guys. You know, like I say, I've been in the tools division. In all those years, it's been this division. It's been the tools division. Never worked in Office, never worked in the operating system. Love those guys, but I was a tools guy. Right? So my focus on those small 1, 3, 5, 10 people companies is pretty clear to me. And I feel like we just didn't get that. We didn't get that out.
Why does Microsoft? This might be a question. Why does Microsoft try to make money on the developers when the developers help Microsoft obviously sell Windows and sell
Sure.
Office and sell.
Yeah, I mean, Microsoft does. I think if you look at it, you'd see that we don't try and make nearly the money. I mean, we're trying to recoup our investment. You think about it, a 300-person or more team for the team system is not a cheap organization. It's, and many times it's 30 times their cost. So take their cost structure, multiply it by 30 times, and get everybody 4 machines. And I mean, the cost of building this product is not cheap, right? And so a lot of it, is about how do we monetize so we can continue to invest, right? In any business, it's about how do you show revenue growth so that you can continue to invest. And the team system is about investing. If you look at the difference between what the team system offers functionally and what we've ever done in the past, it's a significant amount. It's not far enough, in my opinion. We have database tools and business process tools and project management. I mean, there's a ton of stuff that we still have to do over the next several versions, as we expand our sort of focus. But the fact is, expanding your focus and investing significant resources requires some revenue growth, right? And so that's, we're trying to figure out a way to say, how can we monetize this to a way that we change the dynamics of the existing market, that we drop the prices in order of magnitude, right, and still make enough revenue to continue to invest in this space, right? And that's the balance that we have to make. I feel like giving all of the stuff that I have to look at in terms of revenue costs and the cost of building this stuff, that we've done a really good job there. So we will always have to monetize. Any company has to monetize the investments that they're making. We view the developer as core to our platform, right? And so I look at this and say, if for $1,000 more, customers have to, get this entire value, or $3,000 more, customers get this entire value stack, and they're more productive and more predictable, and they're producing better Windows applications, then we've done a huge service for the platform, and we've done a huge service for the customer. Because to do that with other tools is going to cost them. They're just not doing it. I mean, as Prashant said in one of his posts, look, the reason that this stuff is used by 10% is no one can buy it, and it's because no one can use it. It's not approachable. And we're really going to try and focus on fixing that. And I think that the pricing messaging didn't come out as clear as we had wanted in terms of what we're going to do.
You should have invited Channel 9 a month ago.
I was in Europe. You'd have been okay. Catch me in Italy. We'll talk about it.
So Foundation Server, I'm a small guy. I'm a consultant, and I want to play with it. Are we going to make that easier for people? Or?
Yeah, and Jeff, you've obviously been reading the blogs too.
Yeah.
I would say that there were, I was talking with Jeff and Prashant earlier, and there were probably 6 big things that I heard. Like, if you got to wade through some of the emotion and some of the not quite truths, not intentionally necessarily, but just bad information out there. I mean, there were 6 real clear pieces of feedback I heard. One of them was, look, what about the consultants? We want, we're a one-person shop. It's hard to amortize that $2,700 cost. It's really just $2,700. There's not 3 of us, right? And so I make a couple points here. I always talk about the value first, but people want to know what the cost is going to be too. So, I think the value here is pretty significant. If you think about it, if you're a 3-person team and you pay $2,700 and you use that server for 3 years, because it's not a per-year server license. It's a server license. It's your server now. That turns out to be 9 man-years worth of use, or $300 a year, or $1 a day, for an enterprise system that's going to make you more predictable, more productive. I don't think that's an outrageous price. Having said that, people want to know. I just want to evaluate it, and so I want to play with it. I want to figure out, is it really as good as it sounds, et cetera, et cetera. So our previous answer was, look, there's an evaluation copy. It'll be 120 days time bomb. People don't like evaluation copies. You never get around to the.
180.
I'm sorry, it's 180 day, I'm told. So just gave you another. Was that 60 days? The point being, people don't like evaluation copies. They never get around to installing them in time, and when you're getting to the good part, the movie ends, that type of thing.
Yeah.
So one of the things that we're doing is we're absolutely putting a version of the Team Foundation, and based on people's feedback, quite frankly, so we're putting a version of the Team Foundation server into the MSDN Premium subscription. And it'll be a restricted version, and everybody asks me, what does that mean? the answer is we don't know yet. We should know in a few weeks. But assume it'll be restricted in one of two ways. Either restricted by license, which basically says, just like every other server in the box, you can use this for evaluation for dev and test purposes. And by that means, it doesn't mean developing in general. It means developing add-ins for the server, that type of thing. Or we will limit it by number of users, maybe one user, like no one can be logged on, one concurrent user, that type of thing, which will scale it. We haven't really decided which. I suspect we'll get good feedback from the Channel 9 video and a lot of other places where we're trying to get people's perspectives. But that was another thing where, okay, yep, we hear you. You got to have the server so that you can look at the integration pieces, and we need to make that more approachable. Now, quite frankly, I go back to, if you want to use it for your production, your team's collaborative server, I expect that you will pay for it. And I don't think that $2,700 is an unreasonable price when you consider that thing is $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 if you're buying a Rational license or a Borland license, that type of thing. So I feel pretty confident in the pricing from that perspective. But in terms of the individual consultant, making sure that we can get them out there up and running and evaluating the product with something better than a time bomb license was another thing that we heard and we're addressing. I think we're addressing. I hope we're addressing.
What were the other 5?
Oh my gosh, yeah, there were 6. So let's see. MSDN Universal. Why are you raising the price of MSDN Universal? Which was, I think, it's a total misstatement. Understandable in the way that people think about it, but the thing that is MSDN Universal today, meaning all of the server products, the developer products, the Office, the project, everything you get today, is actually prices going down. Right? I'd be very clear on that. It is Visual Studio Professional with MSDN Premium subscription. That thing is $24.99 and it's $27.99 today. Yeah. So, but it's understandable because what they mean is when I buy everything, the price is going up, and that's true. So I think, one thing was, why is MSDN Universal price going up? That was, I think, some misinformation. Another one was, why is this, how come I don't get the server when I buy the client? Well, because it's a server, and we don't have a license model where every person gets a server when they buy the client. We have a license model that says this server will scale from 1 to 1,000 people, and so we have to sell it as a server with a server model and a server licensing. And so what we've done is we've basically said, we gave everybody the client access licenses. Like if you buy the client SKU or if you get the free upgrade. This kind of goes back to where I said there were 4 decisions people have to make. The 4th decision is, do I want the integration server or not? Right? And if I do, the integration server, it's important to point out, the integration server will actually install into any of those other 3 decisions that you've made. So you can use Team Foundation Server with Visual Studio Pro. You can use Team Foundation Server with one of the clients. Or you can use Team Foundation Server with the suite. So it's a sort of an orthogonal decision, which is, do I want all this integration services, the build, the configuration management, the issue tracking, the reporting, that type of thing. And if you do, then you buy one server for your up to 1,000 people, and you're kind of off and running.
Does that penalize smaller shops versus a bigger shop? The bigger shop can spread that cost over.
Sure, yeah. I mean, it's certainly amortized. It's a better deal for the bigger guys than the smaller guys, no doubt. Just from a cost per head perspective. I think that I'll make 2 observations there. One is the minute you get over 5, it's a better deal than SourceSafe. I can't say much more than that. Like if you're buying SourceSafe licenses, the minute you get over 5, the server is a better 4.5. The server is a better deal, and it's not comparable. It's not source code control. It's issue tracking and configuration management and build and all these other things. The second thing I would say though is that we're trying to address that with giving away all the client pieces. So if you get a role-based SKU, you don't have to buy CALs, so they come for free. So we're trying to spread that cost around by saying, if you're an MSDN customer, all you need is one server, and then you don't have to buy anymore. You don't have to buy the CALs, that type of thing. If you want to be Visual Studio Professional, you can, in fact, buy the server. So if you're a 2-person shop and you're like, hey, we want enterprise configuration management, we want all that cool stuff with source code control and issue tracking, and there's 2 of us, we don't need MSDN Pro, that type of thing, or excuse me, we don't need the point products, that type of stuff. We just want VS Pro, but we want that. Well, you can buy the server. You can buy the server for $2,700, and it comes with a couple CALs. I think it comes with exactly 2 CALs. So when you buy the server, your first 2 users are free, and if you're with any of the point products, you don't have to worry about CALs because you already have them. But if you're with VS Pro, you can buy CALs from us to sort of add CALs for the second, third, or the third, fourth, fifth, whatever people on your team. So we looked at VS. The Team Foundation server is a server, and you can't put it in a client-based SKU and give it to everyone because they don't get that many copies of the server. You get and need one. So that was a challenging one for us.
Was that 2? So.
That was the second one. So MSDN pricing. What about the little guy? Why is it not in the suite? Then there was, if you were a consultant, what would you buy? It sort of rolls up into this consultant model of, we're going to try and make the pricing very attractive for you. We have with a couple things. One is integrating a version of the server into the MSDN premium subscription. The second one is something that we are looking to roll out in the next 4 to 6 weeks, and that is we've never really talked about the upgrade pricing for the retail business, and so people see the suite at $10,000, and they go, I personally know that if you compare that with what you would pay retail for other products, it's still a hell of a deal. But in our business, in our market, particularly the further you go down that, it's not a reasonable price. It's something that they can't afford. So we will be announcing some retail pricing incentives, which will basically get that down to a very small number. I can't tell you what it is exactly, but it's less than twice what you're paying today. And that people seem to be, there is that price point of, okay, there's a bunch of stuff here, and twice what I'm paying today, maybe, but not 4 times, 5 times, 6 times, which is totally reasonable. So it's another thing that we're doing is we'll be announcing some updated pricing for specifically for existing customers in the retail market, which was one. I think the retail market was the one where we really sort of missed the boat because for a couple of reasons. One is the enterprise market, our managed customers market. First of all, they all buy volume licensing, and so volume licensing pricing is just a much better, bigger, deeper discount, basically. Also, volume pricing people tend to have account managers. And account managers can explain to them how this thing works and what they'd really pay. And account managers know the discounts already. So they're out and they're able to talk about it. In retail, we just didn't do a very good job there. And so the website and a lot of the stuff to be able to communicate more in retail. So that was another one. That was, I think, number 4. Where were the other ones? Do you have the little list up there? Sure. So, so I can tell you, number 6 was you raise the price in MSDN. Number 5 was, or why is MSDN price rising? Number 5 was why didn't you give me the server? Then there was let me see here. Oh, if everyone plays all the roles, what do I buy? Right, that was the one that we talked about earlier. It's the suite, and our goal is to we built the product to sell the suite first and to sell point products to people who really only played a particular role. So the pricing model that we'll announce, I think with the discounts, will get people much closer with their expectations in terms of, can I buy the suite? And again, on one hand it feels good because people wanted the suite. People, there was an uproar. I mean, I can't tell you how many pieces of mail I got that said, damn. They started off with damn or other expletives. Right? They started off by
this is a PG show.
I really wanted the team system suite. I really wanted everything, and I think you priced me out, right? And I think that through the promotions and some of the stuff that we're doing, and I think that there's some people out there that say, hey, look, Microsoft just announced retail pricing. Nobody pays retail. It's like MSRP. Nobody pays MSRP. Through partner programs and through bulk discounts and through, promotions and renewals, you won't pay anywhere near that is, I think, the important point. But a lot of people wanted the suite, and because they did multiple roles, because all of the value was like, well, gee, I want to be able to test my web services, and I want to be able to design them. Okay, that's two. People didn't want to get. We call this phenomenon the big box phenomenon. You always want to buy the big box because you don't have buyer's remorse when you buy the big box. Okay. So people wanted the big box. They didn't want to feel like they made a decision and then, dang it, at some point they needed to test something and then they were, screwed.
You were on the early C++ team, weren't you?
Oh, yes. Yeah.
That was one of Microsoft's biggest boxes.
Oh, physically. C++ 7.0. Visual C++ 7.0. And
I had a copy on my shelf. That's what made me think of the big box.
Did you have to reinforce your shelf?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and people, fair enough. People complain that we don't really listen to customers, and we don't sometimes. And I think there's some validity to that. But I'll tell you, the reason that box exists was because the one before it, if you remember, we shipped VC6, and it was electronic documentation, right? And it was like this big, and everybody. We got a ton of feedback. Like, I want to go to the bathroom and read the docs. Okay, then. Well, we'll give you a paper copy. Yeah. And so we went from this box with the cost of goods, if you can imagine, next to nothing, to this box, and I'm not, you've seen the box, I'm not exaggerating, it was about 2.5 feet long. Yeah. And that was because the customer said, we want printed documentation.
This is just an aside, you said big box. And
yeah, it was the big box, and that was a big box. So, anyway, so that was the big box. So people wanted to buy the suite. Let's see, we talked about most of them. I think there was, what were the other ones? Oh, I think the last one, the always, the one that's on people's minds, once we sort of worked through all the pricing issues and the who's it built for issue is, but didn't MSDNU mean everything? And that's I look at that one as a hard answer, a hard question to answer, because in fact it did mean everything, and it meant everything developer, and it meant Microsoft Developer Network. And one of the things that's changing is we are expanding from that role. Right, and which is why, by the way, we are giving, like I say, if you're an MSDN subscriber, even the MSDN Pro, you get the advanced developer tools, because this is everything developer. It was inappropriate to reset people's expectations that way. So when we do stuff for developer, you should get it, right? Because that's what your expectation was. When we do stuff for architects, I think you're little, architects are developers, but it is different. When we do stuff for testers, some people will like to rope those in, but in fact they're different. But more importantly, I think, is for people to think about, we're not stopping here. Database tools, business analyst tools, business process tools, project manager tools. We got a lot on our plate of what we're going to keep building onto the team system. And as you start seeing the whole product line, you're like, okay, well, that's not MSDN. Those things they're not developer in any way. They're attached to developer. They're people developers work with. So we had to make a change, which was we are moving from a developer-focused product line to a development end-to-end, sort of product line. And so when I think about MSDN Universal as everything for developers, you should continue to get that, and you should continue to expect that. When I think about MSDN, is it everything that you should expect for your engineering team? No, I don't think that's a reasonable expectation. I think the reasonable expectation is the team suite is everything you need for your engineering team, and we will continue to put more value into that box and make that a much more attractive price point, just from a value perspective. But that's it's the honest answer of how I think about MSDN Universal. And did it go away? Did it mean everything? And I don't think it went away. I think it has grown. There's been something bigger, which is, it's not just about developers anymore. It's about architects and testers and project managers and database analysts and et cetera, et cetera. And that's a change, and change isn't easy. And, people can say that we didn't manage this one exceptionally well, and, I think we hear that feedback as well. But that's kind of how I think about, MSDN meaning everything. So anyway, that was the stuff, that was the stuff I took back from, from a bunch of conversations with customers in person, in email, on blogs, and that type of thing.
You're really, so we're coming up to beta 2 now. We're really close. I guess 2 questions.
Really close.
Really close. One is, what's now changing the dynamics in your team now that you're at this mode, you're so close to launching? And second, what are you guys going to do when you ship?
Wow. I can't tell you the second one.
Yeah.
It's a
I know
secret.
what I'm doing.
Yeah, I know what I'm doing, taking a long vacation. No, so what's the dynamics of change? A couple things. One is we have a go-live program now with the team system. So we have not just our team, which has basically been go-live for 9 months, we consider it guinea pigs, but really we have 10 external customers now.
On my team.
That are being managed by Jeff's team, absolutely. Thank you very much. So we have those 10, as part of our TAP program, 10 of the customers are actually going live with production use of the Team Foundation server and all of our bits, which means that our commitment to them changes pretty dramatically. We have to now support backwards compatibility. People can't go in and invent something new. We're obviously feature complete. No new features, just get the stuff that we've got.
Brian Harry can't even sneak one in the back. Yeah.
Well, I try to keep my thumb on Brian. He's pretty good at that. But really focusing on the only new features that'll get in are customer driven. In other words, so if we get feedback from the taps that say, "Look, this is fantastic, but as we've experienced it, we must have X," then we're going to have to add X, that type of thing.
What's TAP again?
Technical adoption program.
Yeah. Turn off my cell phone.
So it's a technical adoption program. Work really closely one-to-one. I have people on my team that are technical evangelists, and they work really closely with these people that are early adopters of the product. And we get two things. We get a lot of feedback, and they get to work with products really early and have a really close relationship.
Now, how do people become TAP partners?
There's lots of ways. They get nominated. We find people that have very interesting scenarios. We look at people that are in specific industries that we want to get coverage in development. There's lots of different ways that customers get into TAP. And it's everything from smaller companies to very large companies that get through into TAP.
So the TAP is a big thing for us with our customers now switching to go live. It means it's actually it's a milestone for people to think about. Okay, we're now on the downhill path to shipping. We have to lock down. We have to our processes go up when we get to beta 2. The expectation for quality and the check-ins, the expectation of the processes that we go through, the expectations for any incremental feature work, the design change requests, all the process goes up substantially. So,
if somebody hasn't heard of the term "go live" before, what does that mean?
What it means is that we're basically allowing a small set of our customers to go into production use of the team system, which means that they will be using the team system every day as their configuration management system, issue tracking system, profilers, designers, the whole 9 yards. And so, like I say, we have 10 of those, and they're broad. We have some small customers that are 3, 4, 5-person shops, and we have some very large teams that are going live.
Now, why do you choose only 10? Why can't everybody else go live?
Right. So it's the reason that we can only is because we manage them. In the beginning part of this process, they will have issues. They will say, "I have this bug, and it's blocking my developers," and we need to be able to respond to that, fix that, get them up and running again. And so the expectation in the early days of a go live program is it's go live and it's custom development for these people effectively to make sure our commitment to them is that they have immediate support to Redmond.
We're fixing bugs. If something comes up and somebody can't check in their code, their development stops. I'm a developer, and great, my manager signed our team up to do this foundation thing, and we got to ship a product. And they're doing it on beta bits, and something breaks. There's lots of things that could happen to get that fix to happen.
Yeah. So are you the guy they call?
They call they're people on my team. I'm overhead.
Right. The interesting thing is, it's more of a precaution than anything. Because as I said, Jeff is right. If they couldn't check in, that would be a huge problem for them. We've been running it for 9 months and have never not been able to check in. I mean, we've never had a crashing downtime where, we've had to accept pain where a check-in took 20 minutes to clear the queue when customers should never expect or have to accept that. We are in active development, but I can tell you we've never lost a line of source code. But there will be things around the build systems and just all of integrating this technology, these sets of technologies together that are going to be challenging for them. And so we, as being part of the TAP program, the customers get value by having this close relationship with us. We get value because we have real customers running real topographies. Some will be running one server machine, some will be running 2 servers, some will be in one place, some will be distributed. So we get real customers experiencing it, and it's we have a certain sensitivity to pain when you build it yourself, right? And you want to know whether we've sort of driven those out of the system. So anyway, that's one of the biggest changes with Beta 2. I think, like I say, another big change is just the mental switch to. If it wasn't clear to the team before, when I was in Europe, it was absolutely clear to me. The team system is huge. The breadth. I mean, it took us a day to demo cursorily the product. It's a huge product. It's very broad and it's deep. And a lot of customers were basically saying, we just need to think about how we're going to consume all of this stuff. And so when I tell my team, you don't need to add more, right? You need to get the stuff that's in there, finish the integration, finish the fit and finish the productivity, out of the box day one, go back to those simple statements, get that stuff done, and get it in the hands of the customers. And so that move, Beta 2 really signified drive the quality, get the quality where it needs to be, and then get it out the door. And that was it's a great thing. I mean, Beta 2 is a very good feeling for a long product cycle.
Cool.
Yeah.
And we'll save the secrets that you probably have your team for shipping.
Yeah, you can ask us after we get back how it goes.
Okay.
Yeah. Awesome.
Cool. Anything else we should know about Team System?
No, I think we're good.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much.
Thanks.
It
was my pleasure. Thanks,
Thank
guys.
you very much.
Yeah.
Great. Thank you.
Okay.
We're done. Wow.
You good?
That was